let me ask this last question because I think this is a better topic than the last
Sure.
topic we had
Sure.
planned. If I'm 21 and I come to you as a mentor and I'm like, Sean, I want to change the world. And you're like, awesome. And then I'm like, should I go into politics or business? What would you say as like the most effective and fulfilling way you think to actually change the world?
I think that there are so many people in business that you'll never hear of who are changing the world. And these are the people who are doing things that go very unnoticed, right? I think that the world has to have politicians. I mean, I sort of hate that it does, but it does have to have politicians, right? And I think the world also needs silent solvers and creators, people who are just waking up every day, they're looking at problems, they're figuring out, okay, these are the top 10 problems for children. These are the top 10 problems for elderly people. These are the top 10 problems for women, for a minority, for whatever category we want to break it down into. And they're thinking about how they can solve for that. And I think that people who have both empathy and drive are the best people a country can have. And I think we have a lot of those people in this country who are silently going out, and what they're doing is, maybe it's people who own real estate, but they're keeping the prices low and the house is nice and clean and safe. Maybe it's people who are creating better access to educational materials. Maybe it's folks who are providing needles that retract the blade so other people won't get stuck and get a disease. Maybe it's people who are coming up with a better way of making the next Narcan, right? I think that there is a mega, I've said this before, like the actual middle of the actual world, right? The real bell curve, not the extreme 10%, are primarily made of people who are like, look, I want to live in a nice society. I would love to see things get better. I don't care which way you lean. The problem is it's very hard to locate where within that spectrum the people who want to put in the effort, do the work, and be selfless about it. I think a lot of them exist. I feel like I know a lot of them. Um, they'll never get credit. They don't want credit. They're not looking for credit. But I also think that like the sometimes the issue can be, the reason I'm saying that they're unknown is not an accident. I'm not just randomly saying that. There hits a point where you become so big, you become a political figurehead, even if not on purpose.
Yeah.
If I say Bill Gates, who has given tens of billions of dollars to the world, well, that's true, but maybe he still is someone that people see as like, hey, did he really go to Epstein Island? Did he really do these bad things? Like, I don't know. You talk about Elon, my God, you think the guy was like launching dragons on society, killing people the way people talk about this guy like he's pure evil, right? Like it doesn't matter what good he does, he's drowned out by hatred. Name your top 0.01 percenter, right? People are going to hate them.
Do you also think politics is too slow? Like you got to campaign, you got to get votes, whereas business, you can immediately make an impact and like,
So this is a really funny. God, if I tell when I tell my wife later, I brought this up on a podcast with you, man, she's gonna not believe it. Have you ever seen the show Eastbound and Down?
no.
Okay, this has nothing to do with the show. It's a hilarious show that 100% could never be made today. Let's just be totally clear. It's um, Kenny Powers. So the only reason I'm bringing this up funny, he has a jet ski, and I always think about the jet ski in this show. When you think about government, it's not just a question of like, I have to somehow turn this aircraft carrier around. It's like, I need to have 2 years of planning to decide if I'm going to turn it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Then, if once I've decided, I have to have 2 years of planning on who's going to do it. Then, after we do that, we have to do an ecological study for 2 years, and then a societal study, and then a prosperity study. And then, all the while, we've run out of gas. It hasn't been maintained, and now we have to build a new ship so we can turn it around in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, when it's finally built and ready to be turned around, another party comes in and gets voted out, and they're like, we were facing the right way all along, turn it back. So i think I think the reality is, a small business owner, because you don't have to be huge, small business owner is a jet ski, right? They can whip around that giant ship 1,000 times in any direction they want. They can jump over it, they can go, I don't know, under it, I suppose, like whatever. That's the way we have to be. We have to be nimble, and we have to be based on solving for problems that are in front of us. That's the missing link to almost everything you hear about on TV. I don't care. I get just because I think it relates. I'm now seeing CNN trending as cancel CNN bans. Now they're a Republican channel. I'm like, oh my lord, God, holy moly! When CNN is being said to be too far right, that's when I'm like,
That's an
what
issue.
is going on politically in the
Yeah.
world right now? I can't even make sense of it. And and this is the whole entire thing that you're asking is like, is it too hard for governments to do stuff? Yeah, because everything is done to get votes on both sides. It's total equality. They're going to say and do whatever it takes to get votes so that they have a chance of winning. That is the name of the game of politics. But while they all fight and get on TV and get the airtime, guys like you and me who go out and do our own things and have employees and try to generate profits and put those profits back into the areas we live, nothing happens. I'll give you a true story because I think this is really relevant. There's a building near me that's been vacant now for a long time, and it's starting to look pretty bad. Okay, it's a commercial property. My buddy is a commercial realtor. I said, "Hey, dude, can you get me in there? I want to take a look at it." It's across from a brand new fire station. It's right off the highway. It could be a beautiful local spot. And I was like, "Look, I don't even know what I want to do with it, but if I could get in there and turn it into like." I'm not even talking about making money with it. It's in the town I live in, and I'm not trying to crap where I eat. Okay, I was like, you can make it into an ice cream store, a cafe, maybe a general store, something cutesy for the town. The kids can come and get penny candy, stuff like that. Whatever. Hire all the kids from the high school to work there. Just try to basically break even on it. We go in, it's in terrible shape. So the first observation I have is it's going to require someone who actually knows what they're doing. Okay, I check that box. It's going to require someone who's also connected, knows how to raise their own money because no one else is going to pay for this dump, and has to have the capital and the willpower to want to make this better. Check and check. I'm good to go. We're walking through, every floor is worse. The roof is in bad shape. There's a hole in one of the roof has been leaking apparently for a long time. So it's some bad situation. So whoever buys this is going to have to put in way more money than it's going to be worth. So you have to do it because you want to do something good for your community.
Right.
When we finally leave, I'm like, okay, I'll consider an offer, but it's going to have to be low. There's a special freaking addendum that says I don't want to say the name because it could be taken the wrong way. There's a group in the town who, for whatever reason, was written into the bylaws, will have a say in what you're allowed to do or run from the business.
Wow.
So you have to go in front of a committee and get their approval, and then they get to pick the design. And I was like, no, let it fall down. When it falls to the ground and there's nothing left but a hole, I'll buy the hole and I'll put something there myself. And now here we are 6 months later, still going on years. 6 months later, the grass is now 3 feet high. You can see animals are coming in and out of the roof. and that building to me is everything that we have just talked about.
Yep.
Plenty of people are saying, I want to do the right thing and I don't even need the money. I will do it myself. I will make it a nice place. I'll even give it back, lease it back to the town somehow for break even, whatever. But the policies can't get out of their own way. And they don't want them because they want power. They don't want to buy the building, Amit. They don't want to buy the building. They don't want to use their own money. They don't want to come up with the idea, and they don't want to come up with a plan. But they want control over the person who buys it because it's about control. So it's one of those things where it's like, my gosh, you even get in the way of people trying to do good things, to your point. And so, yeah, it's like we're trying to turn around an aircraft carrier, but we don't know why. We don't know who's going to do it. And we don't know how to do it, but we're still going to try to do it until someone tells us to stop and go back. And that's where we are a lot of times, the way we do things globally, not just in the US,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at you, not to belabor it, but like we both live on the East Coast. You're in Jersey. Jersey's the same way, man. Like, it's a tough situation. And I think the problem is many of the things and the rules that we put in place have great ideas behind them, right? Like I'll give you a perfect example, one that I think about all the time is rent controls and rent restrictions. As someone who rents for low pricing, I don't get affected by any of this, thankfully. But at the same time, and by the way, I'm not making excuses for people who gouge people either. They can go, F themselves. They want to rip people off. I have no place for people like that in my life. But what I'm saying is the same politicians who are like, hey, you are not allowed to raise rents more than, 0.5% or 1%. Will then raise your taxes 3%.
Yeah.
And it creates a problem because the tenants are like, look, I want to live here. I just can't keep paying more. And the owner of the property a lot of times is like, I don't make what you think I make by renting this out. and what happens is like, they're like, increase 0.5, taxes go up 3%. Okay, well, next year, increase by 0.5. It's only up 2% this year. It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm losing more and more money every year, and you're telling me what I can and can't do with it. And I think that it's a classic example of like, we create programs to solve for a problem, but we ignore the ripple effect of all of the other problems because that's not politically going to strengthen the argument for the first problem?
So the answer is go into business.
The answer is maybe go into politics after you go into business. And you can say the rest of all the things you've done.
Which is what all of them do anyway, right? They're like, all right.
I mean, listen, the people in Congress are wealthier than the people running the businesses.
Well, it goes back to your point. It's like after you've done what you want to do to change the world, now maybe selfishly you want power, and that comes through politics. And
if there's a soundbite you're going to get from anything, everyone thinks that they want money until they realize they don't have power. Power makes money look like nothing, and that's what drives almost all the problems we face on a day-to-day basis in the world. That's my 2 cents.
I think that's how we end it. That's awesome. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching Not Financial Advice. Let us know in the comments. Do you want to pick politics or do you want to pick business if you have to go change the world? We'll see you next week.
See you, everybody.